Hey guys, Pastor Keith here from Oakdale Baptist Church in Nokesville, Virginia, here with this week's 3-minute sermon where I give you a recap of what we talked about on Sunday in about 3 minutes. And this past Sunday we talked still again through the book of James. We're still in the first chapter, and we've been looking at the wisdom that James is trying to teach us. And James sort of summarizes and gives a whole lot of information in just a few words. And so there's a lot of wisdom in this first chapter and all the other chapters of James as well. And I'm excited as we go through them. And we looked at just a couple of verses this past week, verses 19 to 21 of the first chapter of James. And we read the words that say that we should be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And, we know these verses as Christians. We know that should be what marks our life. But yet sometimes we get those things out of order. We get so busy, arguing with each other and having this anger that we just hold on to and resentment. And, that's not at all what our life is supposed to be like. James is saying that we need to get rid of all of that. He follows that up with the verse that says, let us get rid of or take off all forms of wickedness, all forms of filthiness. And, it's funny that we read that and yet we keep going back to our filthiness all of the time. We know the truth and yet we keep going back to it. We let that anger and let that division and quarreling be a part of our lives, and then we just kind of leave it there. I talked about my shoes. This is my favorite pair of shoes, and I love these shoes. But really, as for a shoe, it's kind of worn out. It's no good anymore. The back is all worn out. You can see there's a hole right through the sole there. I love these shoes, and I always go back to these shoes. I set them by my front door because they didn't quite make it to the trash, and I keep going back to them and putting them on because they're so comfortable, and it's just what I'm used to. And I think we do that with our lives. When we let anger and bitterness be a part of our lives, and we might think that we've put it away, or we might think that we've set it at the front door and we'll never go back to it, we always put it back on. Just like your favorite shirt. Think about it, especially as guys. We have a shirt that's, a dress shirt or a nice shirt, and then it goes to a casual shirt, and then it goes to a work shirt, and then we still don't throw it out because we love that shirt. It's part of who we are. And the same is true, and we need to be cautioned about bitterness and anger in our lives, that if we just let it sit there, if we don't actually make an effort to throw it out, to get rid of it, we'll always end up back with it, wearing it all over again. Other people will see that. Again, we talked about our shirt, that if you wear that dirty, stained shirt, everyone else, especially your wife, looks at it and just sees a dirty, stained shirt. That's all it is to them. And, you think it's part of you, and you think that you've done a good job of kind of dressing it up, but yet it's still just dirty and nasty. And that's what anger and bitterness does in our lives. If we aren't quick to hear, if we aren't slow to speak, and if we are quick to get angry and hold on to that anger, and we don't make an actual effort of getting rid of it, then it's going to sit there, and we'll always go back to it. So on Sunday, I did something where I threw my shoe out. And so here's the other shoe. My shoes are now thrown out. I want to encourage you, if you have bitterness in your life, if you have dirtiness, filthiness, if you have, broken relationships or resentment that you're holding in your life, I encourage you to write it down on a piece of paper right now, throw it in the trash, and no longer let it define you. Let it not be a part of you. James wants us to take it off and not go back to it. I hope you can join us for the rest of this series as we continue to work through the book of James. That's just a little recap of what we talked about this past Sunday. Let us be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to get angry, and make sure that we are making an active effort to take off the filthiness in our lives and getting rid of it and never coming back to it.